The moment Jack Mitchell saw his boss standing there, frozen in shock with nothing but a towel clutched to her chest, he knew his career was over. What he couldn't have known was how this mortifying accident would completely transform his life, and hers. If you've ever had your world turned upside down in an instant, this story will resonate deep in your soul. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories that remind us how unexpected moments can change everything. Jack Mitchell stared at the ceiling of his small apartment, listening to the gentle breathing of his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who had crawled into his bed sometime during the night. Dawn was just breaking, casting a soft glow through the thin curtains. Another day of juggling single parenthood and his demanding job as a junior marketing executive at Horizon Enterprises awaited him. 3 years had passed since Emma, his wife and Lily's mother, had lost her battle with cancer. 3 years of learning to be both mother and father, of working twice as hard to provide stability for his daughter while nursing his own broken heart. Jack ran his fingers through his disheveled hair and carefully extracted himself from the bed, trying not to wake Lily. She needed her sleep. Nightmares about losing her daddy too had been plaguing her lately. The morning routine was a well-choreographed dance of making breakfast, packing lunch, finding matching socks, and brushing Lily's unruly curls, so much like her mother's, before dropping her off at school and rushing to work. Jack was perpetually 5 minutes late, perpetually apologetic, and perpetually exhausted. "Daddy, why can't you come to my dance recital today?" Lily asked, her big brown eyes looking up at him as she munched on her toast. Jack's heart sank. The recital. It was today, not tomorrow as he'd thought. "Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I have a big presentation with Ms. Reynolds today. I can't miss it." "You always have big presentations," Lily mumbled, pushing her plate away. "I know, and I'm sorry. But Ms. Reynolds is counting on me. She's the boss, and if I do well, maybe I can get that promotion. Then we could move to a bigger place, maybe even get a puppy." He tried to sound cheerful, but the disappointment in his daughter's eyes was crushing. "Ms. Reynolds sounds mean," Lily declared. Jack smiled despite himself. "She's not mean, just intense. She expects the best from everyone." Victoria Reynolds was indeed intense. At 35, she was the youngest CEO in the company's history, known for her razor-sharp intelligence and uncompromising standards. Employees called her the Ice Queen behind her back, never to her face, of course. No one knew much about her personal life. She kept those boundaries firmly in place. All they knew was that she lived for her work and expected everyone else to do the same. Jack had been working directly under her for 6 months, and while he respected her business acumen, he found her coldness difficult. She had never once asked about his personal circumstances, despite his occasional need to leave early for Lily's doctor appointments or school events. He'd learned to schedule those things during lunch breaks or to take personal days rather than ask for flexibility. After dropping Lily at school with extra hugs and promises to watch the video of her recital that evening, Jack rushed to the office. The presentation was at 2 p.m., which gave him just enough time to finalize the slides and rehearse his talking points. "Mitchell, my office, now." Victoria's crisp voice cut through the open office space as soon as he stepped off the elevator. Jack's stomach dropped. He followed her into her glass-walled office, acutely aware of the curious glances from his colleagues. "The Henderson account numbers are off," she said without preamble, her steel-gray eyes fixed on her computer screen. "The projections don't match the market research." "I'll check them right away," Jack promised, mentally calculating how this would impact his preparation time for the afternoon presentation. That. "And I need the revised numbers before our meeting with the board this afternoon." She finally looked up at him, her expression unreadable. "This presentation needs to be flawless, Mitchell. The Henderson account could put us ahead of our competitors for the next fiscal year." "I understand, Ms. Reynolds. I won't let you down." She nodded curtly and returned her attention to her screen, a clear dismissal. Jack hurried back to his desk, his mind racing. The morning disappeared in a blur of spreadsheets and calculations. He skipped lunch, working frantically to correct the discrepancies in the data. By 1:30 p.m., he had the revised numbers and updated presentation ready. He emailed the files to Victoria and headed to the conference room to set up. The board members would be arriving soon, and everything needed to be perfect, but Victoria wasn't in the conference room. Jack checked his watch nervously. It wasn't like her to be late for anything, especially not a board meeting. He decided to check her office. Her assistant, Megan, looked up as he approached. "She stepped out about 20 minutes ago. Said she needed to freshen up before the meeting." "The board will be here any minute," Jack said, anxiety creeping into his voice. "Did she get my email with the revised presentation?" "I'm sure she did. She probably just went to the executive washroom to touch up her makeup or something," Megan replied with a shrug. "Why don't you go check? It's down the hall, last door on the right. Women's room, but the executives have private stalls, so just knock." Jack hesitated, then nodded. The presentation was too important to risk any miscommunication. He hurried down the hallway, rehearsing what he would say. The door to the executive washroom was slightly ajar. He knocked lightly. "Ms. Reynolds? The board is arriving soon, and I wanted to make sure you received the updated presentation." No response. He knocked again, a little louder this time. "Ms. Reynolds?" Still nothing. Concerned that she might not have heard him, Jack pushed the door open slightly. "Ms. Reynolds, I apologize for the intrusion, but—" The words died in his throat. Victoria Reynolds stood by the sink, her back to the door, completely topless. She had apparently been changing her blouse. At the sound of his voice, she whirled around, her eyes wide with shock, one arm flying up to cover her chest, the other reaching for a towel hanging nearby. For a split second that felt like an eternity, they stared at each other, both frozen in horror. Jack caught a glimpse of a large, jagged scar running across her right side before she managed to cover herself with the towel. I'm so sorry," he stammered, backing out of the doorway. "The door was open, and I knocked, but—" "Get out," she hissed, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. Jack fled, his heart pounding in his chest. He returned to the conference room, his mind reeling. What had he done? He'd just walked in on his boss, his notoriously private, intimidating boss, in a state of undress. He was going to be fired. There was no question about it. The board members began to arrive, and Jack greeted them mechanically, his thoughts still in turmoil. 5 minutes before the meeting was scheduled to begin, Victoria walked in, impeccably dressed in a crisp white blouse and charcoal suit, her dark hair pulled back in its usual severe bun. If not for the slight flush on her cheeks, no one would have guessed anything was amiss. She didn't look at Jack as she took her place at the head of the table. "Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for joining us today. Mr. Mitchell will be presenting our strategy for the Henderson account." Jack summoned